So I'm going to show you how to do a double sleeve off of a chain like this. I've already done my first layer over here, and then I'll show you how to take the other half of the chain and do a second layer. Okay. What you'll want to do is, to start off, you'll want to count all your chains. And I got 38, and I'm setting up my loom for 36. Okay, give yourself a couple that you can overlap on. Okay, so what I want to do is, normally you would want to start where your seam is, but with what I'm wanting to do, I want my starting point to be on the bottom. Okay, so I need to find my bottom chain, which is right here. And you're only going to put, because I'm going to start with the outside sleeve first, you only want to put the chain that is on the half of the chain that's on the outside. Okay. You'll see there's a chain. There's a chain on the inside. See if I can get it to, okay. So you can see there's a chain on the inside and there's a chain on the outside. What you want to do is you want to pull the chain half in from the inside when you're doing your first layer, and then you'll want to probably go in and stitch mark the other side so it's easier to pick up on the next time around. Okay, so what I want to do is, with this particular style, I want to find my bottom section here, and that's about my midpoint. Okay, and what I want to do is have the right side facing me. Alright, so I'm going to pull it up through the middle here. And I've already got my looms calculated and set up for this. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is go around and make sure just the outside chain gets added in. Okay. And it may be easier for you to stitch mark if you're wanting to do a double sleeve like this, where you have like a little ruffle and then you have a regular sleeve. Okay. Okay, when you have a connector area like this where it's a little off, which is why I did .36 rather than 38. I'm going to add 2 chains to that. There's one more chain. We'll go ahead and add it to the starting peg. Okay. And what we're going to do to just get this whole thing started, because that's like a cast on, we're going to just knit a row, and then because I want to do a ruffle here, I'm going to show you how that's done. I'm going to just knit a row, and then I'm going to start increasing and then doing 3 rows in between my increases. Okay, so that is how you set up to start the first layer, which is going to be this layer. Okay, and then I'll show you how to start up and do the second layer. Alright, so go ahead and pause the video and get your loom set up, and then we will go from there. Okay, now it's time to start working on the sleeve itself. I like to start off with a slip stitch when I've already got a cast on like this. Okay, and don't do it too tight. Okay, and just to get you started, you'll want to just knit the round. Okay, now that you've initially knitted your round, what you want to do is start increasing. And what that means is you're going to go in and you're going to do a wedge increase. Okay, so you know that you're going to do like the twin knit thing. Going to pull it back one, wrap it, and then move the chain over, 2, pull that back, wrap it, move and knit, then pull the wedge back one, move this change the stitches you just created over, and go in and snug them up, and then knit your way around. You want to do this for all 4 wedges, okay? Let's go ahead and pause the video and get your increases done, and then I'll explain the next step. And for me, this is going to be a 4-row set. You're going to increase a row, and then you're going to do 3 regular rows. Increase a row, 3 regular rows, and I'm going to do this a total of 4 times, okay? But when I get done with my last increase, I'm going to do a seed stitch for my last 3 rows rather than just straighten it, okay? So go ahead and get your increase done, and I'll show you the next step real quick. Okay, to finish the set, now that I've done my increase, what I want to do is go around and just knit regular rows for 3 rows, and then increase a row like I just did, and then do 3 regular rows. Repeat this however many times, but when you get to your last increase, stop. I'll show you that you need to do a seed stitch and a bind off, okay? So pause the video, get most of your sleeve done, and then we'll go from there, and I will show you what you need to do next. Okay, I'm now ready to finish up my short part of my sleeve. So as you can see, we have a seed stitch that we want to do. You can do a garter stitch, you can do a seed stitch, it's entirely up to you. You just want to make it to where it doesn't curl, okay? I wouldn't suggest a rib stitch that has spring to it in another direction. Okay. Get my yarn situated so I can show you. Okay, at this point, what you want to do is you want to knit and purl for 4 rows. Knit and purl, and then purl and knit for 4 rows, creating a seed stitch, okay? And then what you're going to do is a basic bind off, nothing special. If you want it looser, you can have it looser. You can do a really stretchy bind off. It'll add more of a ripple effect at the end of the design, if you'd like, okay? But I'm going to tell you to go ahead and pause the video, complete your seed stitching edge 4 rows, and then bind off, and then I will show you how to go about starting the double layered sleeve, the second layer, okay? And we will go from there, okay? So pause the video, get your top layer sleeve done, and then what we'll do is we'll go in and I'll show you how to do the second layer of the sleeve work. Now it's time to set up our second layer of sleeve, okay? And what you want to do is you want to fold back your original layer. And what you may need to do is go in and find some stitch markers. And right now I'm using up the majority of mine on another project. So I'm going to be doing this without stitch markers, okay? But what you're going to find, okay, is that you have, let's see if I can get this clear. You'll find, and the great thing of it, I'm using color here, okay? And you'll find that there is a paler blue in there, and then there's a top of dark blue and a bottom. That bottom is the other half of your chain, okay? See if I can get it to focus. There we go. There is the other half of your chain, okay? So there was the top half. As you can see, it's connected with the blue, and here's the bottom half. And what you'll probably want to do is go in and actually stitch mark all that out, alright? And get your loom reset up, and I'm using 36 pegs, 36 stitches. And at this point, because this is the bottom half and you're not going to see really where the starting point is much, you just want to go in and you want to add the other half of the other half of your chain onto the peg. So there's my top part of the chain, there's the bottom part of my chain. There's the top, there's the bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom. You just want to do that all the way around. And it may be easier for you to stitch mark all those with your stitch markers if you think you're going to have a hard time seeing what you're doing. Okay. I'm fairly seasoned at what I'm looking at, so it doesn't have me in a confusion or anything. Okay. And so I'm going in and adding the bottom half. And again, you might want to stitch marker this. What you're doing is you're adding the other half of the chain all the way around so that you're prepped and ready. And what that does is it also snugs up your original stitches from the top layer of the sleeve so that you have a really nice closed in area. It doesn't have a open effect to it when you do it this way. But now if you're just doing a regular sleeve, I would suggest that you do both sides of the chain. That way it's nice and snug. Remember, we had a couple of extra stitches left over. So you're going to put the extra onto the overlap. Okay, so now we have our other half of our chain attached. Okay, and we're going to just kind of pull out our first top layer. And at this point, what you want to do is you want to get you a slip stitch going, and this is where you want to calculate in the length of your sleeve and how many rows you're going to need and that kind of thing. But the thing you want to start off with is a slip knot, and then just knit your way around. And at this point you just want to knit and knit and knit, and if you want the sleeve to be a little bit bigger, you can do an increase. But this is going to be your inner layer, and this is where, if you want it long sleeve, you'll need to calculate the length. If you want to do a second ruffle and do it a little bit longer, this is where it's wide open to what you might want to do. Okay, so I'm just going to be knitting my way around and around and around until I get the length I want. And then just before I get the length I want, take about an inch to do either a seed stitch or a rib stitch or a garter stitch to keep it from curling. Okay, and that is basically how you go about doing a double sleeve. It's not as difficult as one may think it would be. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to finish this style up that I'm doing. I am probably going to increase it a full set of stitches just to make sure I have it loose like I want, where it's not too skin tight on the arm. Okay, so I'm probably going to go ahead and do a full increase. That's entirely up to you. Okay, So you should have 2 layers going here. Alright, so you want to knit, 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 knit your way around until you get the length that you want. Make sure to leave yourself 1 inch to do a garter, rib, or seat stitch so that it doesn't curl. Okay, so if you want to see the finishing of this sleeve and how to finish it up, pause the video, get the majority of the length minus 1 inch done on your sleeve, your long sleeve part, and then I'll show you how I finish up. Okay, I'm down to doing my seat stitch. I'm going to kind of show you the last 2 rows. We're going to do 10 rows of a seat stitch, and then you're going to bind off. So my first row, my 2-row pattern consists of a knit 1, purl 1 all the way around. Okay, so you're going to knit 1, purl 1 all the way around. So go ahead and pause the video and do that row. Okay, and your second row of the set is going to be purl 1, knit 1 all the way around, and you repeat that for over 10 rows. So you're going to do knit 1, purl 1 for a row, and then you're going to do purl 1, knit 1 for a row. Alright, so go ahead and pause the video and complete your seat stitch edge, and we'll come back and I will show you how to set up a light bind off, and then this will conclude how to loom knit a double sleeve. Okay, now it's time to lightly bind off, and what I do is I knit over fairly loosely, and then I take my second stitch back to the first peg, toss the bottom loop over, and move it over 1, and I'm not very tight with it at all. I'm kind of loose with my knit stitch and tossing things over, because your hand's going to have to go through this. So then you're going to bind off all the way around, and that concludes how to do a double sleeve on a garment. Okay, and if you want to know what that looks like, try to untwist this. Here is what your double sleeve looks like. So there you have your sleeve. There's your first layer, there's your second layer, and that is how you do a double sleeve.